guys, welcome back to Shots of Victory. It's Rocky. So Blake isn't here this week. He's off on vacation. So it's just me this week. So this week we're going to be going over Raw, NXT SmackDown, TNA Sacrifice, wrestling news, NFL news, college football news, NBA news, divisional year so far, and March Madness results. Okay, so starting off, we got Raw. We get a Paul Heyman promo with Brock Lesnar. Pretty good promo there. Interrupted by Obafemi. Brock attacks first, gets him in the F5 position, but Oba stands tall by hitting him over the ropes. Pretty good segment, but not as good as their segment last week. I think the segment should have been flipped, honestly. But doesn't really matter. The Vision versus the Usos ends in a DQ after Jay hits Theory with the brass knucks he got from LA Knight. Logan was going to try to use him. LA Knight took him, slid him into the ring for Jay, and Jay hit Theory with him, and then he hit Logan with him after the match. So, looks like we're getting a little bit of heelless Jay here. Becky Lynch promo, interrupted by AJ Lee. Becky runs away into the crowd, and they set up a match for WrestleMania. So that should be good. I'm guessing Becky wins the title back there? Probably. Yeah. LA Knight is upset backstage at Jay. They use the nuts and lost and says he's acting like Roman a lot. I mean, I guess. Javon Evans beats Grayson Waller after the match. Kofi Kingston is criticizing Waller for losing. I think this is all leading to Javon joining the New Day. I think New Day turns face, and we get Javon and New Day together. Javon as IC champ. That makes sense, yeah. Paul Heyman asks Adam Pearce to make Usos versus Vision next week for the tag team titles in a street fight. He agrees to do it, and he tells him to go out to the ring for a promo. That we'll get later. I don't even have it on here. Okay, jeez. Penta teaches Speed how to do a strut backstage. Dragon Lee then wishes Penta luck in his match. Heyman then rage baits Seth Rollins to come out, gets him arrested because he has a I think it's a, what's it called? Can't go within 15 feet of him. I'll just look it up. Within 15 feet of, restraining order, okay. Yeah, Paul Heyman got a restraining order on him, so he couldn't come out. Then we get Rollins attacking him after some insults, saying that he'll adopt his daughter when she gets taken by child services, and Seth gets put in handcuffs. Bayley and Lyra backstage. Bayley and Lyra beat the Kabuki Warriors, then post-match challenge the Irresistible Forces to a match next week. Should be good. I think the Irresistible Forces still retain, though. And set up a Mania match. Fatal 4-way. TLC 3.0 right there. Come on. I Show Speed chat with Adam Pearce, interrupted by Dan Housen, who gets mad they wouldn't give his channel over, and he curses Speed. They have a race later in the night, and Dan Housen wins. Asuka is berating Kairi Sane backstage for losing. Io confronts her and says she doesn't deserve this. I'm guessing it's a Kairi and Asuka split very soon. Stephanie Vaquer attacks Liv Morgan before Dom's match. Penta then retains the IC title against Dom after Finn Balor attacked JD on the stage. Then Finn attacks JD and Dom, hits JD with the coup de grace as Dom escapes through the crowd. And then to end the show, we have Punk promo interrupted by Roman and the Usos. Jay knocks Punk down, then tells Roman that this isn't finished. Roman puts him through the announce table, spear, Superman punch, and Punk for some reason is laughing to end the show. So it was a pretty good Raw overall. Blake thought it was a little bit kind of weird. He didn't like the ending segment very well, but yeah. Now on to NXT. We got Tatum Paxley asking where Blake Monroe is since she has her title from last week. Charlotte Hill says it will help find her. I like that these two have a friendship now. Makes sense with both their characters. Josh Briggs tries to confront Robert Stone about getting TV time, but referee has more urgent news. He informs Robert Stone that Ilio LaFleur and Eli Knight are both hurt, so that he needs to find a replacement for him tonight. Rankin UCC beat Fatal Influence post-match. Lowell Weiss and Ren Sinclair is set up for next week to determine JC's next opponent, I think, at Stand and Deliver. Okay. I'm guessing that it's probably going to be Lola Weiss? No, it's Lola versus Kendall, sorry. I'm guessing it's going to be Lola. Or it could be I think a triple threat would be amazing there. But I feel like it's going to be Lola winning the title. JC gets called up to main roster then. Sol Ruca says Zarya only wanted her for her success. And Zarya says that Sol isn't a villain in her story. She's a mistake she made along the way. I'm liking the feud so far. I think the match isn't official yet, but it's basically official with how much they've done. Ethan Page tells Ricky Sainz backstage that he'll be going after the NXT title, and they both argue about who will win it. Kalani Jordan beats Thea Hale and attacks her post-match until Jada Parker comes and makes a save. I honestly thought this feud was over. It should be over. I don't know why they're still continuing it. Jasper Troy, a promo about how he's tired of Keanu Carver not showing anyone respect and will beat respect into him next week. Shiloh Hill locates Blake Monroe through an Instagram post she made and tells Tatum where Blake is. Cool gimmick, I guess, Shiloh. OTM attacks Dion Lennox. Birthright attacks Shiloh. And then Johnny then falls on Shiloh to win the gauntlet match. And will face Miles Bourne at Stand and Deliver for the North American title. I honestly think this is the best thing they could do for Johnny Gargano, and I'm glad to see him back in NXT. Los Americanos is then picked as the replacement team for Ilio LaFleur and Eli Knight, and they beat the Calling to move on to the finals of the number one contender tag team tournament. I think they face... who is it? The Birthright, I think they face. Yeah, it makes sense. OTM promo announcing that they will face Dark State next week in a 3v3 match with Mike Santana. That match should be pretty good. Josh Briggs offers to be the special guest referee for Jasper versus Keanu next week, and Robert Stone accepts since no referees wanted to do it since they're too out of control. Tatum arrives at Blake's hotel and tells her to bring the championship next week for their face-to-face. I'm liking this. I think Blake's probably going to win the title back at Stand and Deliver, which makes the most sense. Tatum call-up would be nice, honestly. She's been in NXT for a while. I think it's definitely deserved. Then Tony versus Ricky ends in DQ after Ethan Page attacks Tony. Joe Hendry comes out, lays out the two of them. Then Tony thinks that they're on good terms, but Joe Hendry lays him out as well and stands tall. Pretty good episode of NXT. Just what you would expect from it, honestly. Now on to SmackDown. Randy Orton promo interrupted by Matt Cardona, who attacks Orton. A match is made for later tonight. Nick Aldis award, so I like the segment. Pretty good. Nick Aldis awards Trick with a Mania match, but tells Sammy he doesn't have one. So Sammy attacks Trick Willie. Very upset that he doesn't have something, and he says he's gonna make something happen. So so that he for sure has one at Mania. Sorry. Bella Twins then beat Charlotte with the help of the Irresistible Forces. They then beat up both the tag teams after the match. Lyra and Bayley come down and make the save, attacking them both. Then Charlotte shoves Brie after the match. R-Truth mistakes Jelly Roll for Dominic Mysterio. They go run off. Rhea Ripley congratulates Priest on his tag team win. I like that they're still talking, I guess. It's pretty cool. Charlotte and the Bella Twins arguing backstage about who's next for the tag team titles after Monday. Brie's upset that Charlotte pushed her when they were on good terms, and Charlotte said they're selfish, I guess. Rhea promo interrupted by B-Fab, Meechin, and Jade, and they're for some reason called The Takeover. That's a weird name for them, but I guess. Then we get B-Fab versus Rhea. Ends in DQ after all three of them attack Rhea and stand tall. This is just going to end in Rhea basically beating them up every single week now. Can't wait. Miz and Kit Wilson chat interrupted by Dan Husen. Kit calls Danhausen toxic, and Danhausen curses Kit. So, I guess that's cool. I like it. I like the segment, honestly. Miz and Danhausen have some good chemistry, and Kit Wilson is good as always. Then we get Drew McIntyre arriving to the arena and says if Fatu starts anything with him, he will make sure to finish it, even though he's still beat up. Jelly Roll then beats Kit Wilson with a chokeslam to win his first ever singles match. Good on Jelly Roll there, and it was a pretty good match, honestly. I'm surprised for how good it was considering the two competitors. Solo apologizes to Tama about last week. Shinsuke tells Tama to take his title shot before Sikoa takes it, but he didn't get there fast enough because Sami Zayn beats Carmelo Hayes to win the United States Championship after Trick Williams accidentally hit Melo. So this was probably the worst decision they could have ran all night. Blake wasn't a fan of this either. He thought this was dumb and stupid. Trick versus Sammy did not need the title, and it should have been Melo versus Ilya at Mania, but now they're probably not going to even make Mania because of this, which is kind of sad because they definitely deserve to be on Mania. Yeah. Jake Full 2 promo interrupted by Drew McIntyre. Nick Aldis then makes an unsanctioned match at Mania. I'm honestly very excited for that. Unsanctioned can mean a lot of things, though. I love that it's unsanctioned because it means that we're probably going to get a lot of blood and a lot of weapon involvement, which is feud definitely needs. Nick Aldis congratulates Sammy on his title win and then informs him that he's facing Trick Williams at Mania. That's going to be a good match, I guess. Matt Cardona gets confronted by Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, who make fun of him for getting beaten up last week. And, yeah, I don't like what Aleister Black's doing right now. They need to get him in a good feud. Julia beats Tiffany Stratton with a distraction from Keanu James. I think this is honestly just going to end in Tiffany Stratton getting a clean win, probably at Mania, which I'm not psyched for. I think Julia should still hold the title for a while, but knowing they're probably going to put it on Tiffany Stratton, which would help elevate the title, but I feel like they need to elevate Julia more. Bayley and Lyra interview backstage where they say they're not going to win, say that they are going to win the titles on Monday. Highly unlikely. Randy Orton beats Matt Cardona. Then Cody Rhodes makes his return, but Randy Orton RKO's Jelly Roll. One takeaway me and Blake both had for this episode was that there was way too much Jelly Roll. I think he appeared in like 4 segments this night, which is kind of crazy for someone that's not like a full-time wrestler. And we kind of felt like the end brawl was anticlimactic because it was kind of just, they build it up for so long and it's just security breakups. That's the worst type of brawl, honestly. So this SmackDown was alright. It feels like the Road Dogg era SmackDowns again, which is not a good thing at all. So now on to TNA's Sacrifice. In the pre-show, Ryan Nemeth beats BDE with a roll-up where he was holding BDE's tights. So it was an alright match. Tessa Blanchard beats Jody Threat with help of the Diamond Collective. Another alright match. Leon Slater beats Eric Young to retain the TNA X Division title. This was Eric Young's Feast or fired contract use for the X Division title. So he does not have that anymore. Frankie Kazarian and AJ Francis beat Hometown Man and Elijah. I kind of felt like this was the wrong result, but I'm happy Frankie Kazarian got the win. It was still a pretty good match, so I'm excited. And Chris Bay announces that Ricky Sosa has officially signed a contract with TNA. I am pumped about that. That's probably the best signing they could do. Ariana Grace beats Li Yang Lee and Dani Luna to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. I kind of thought Dani Luna should have won it here, but I'm fine with Ariana Grace holding the title for a little bit longer. Mustafa Ali and Tasha Steelz beat Trey Miguel and Jada Stone in an intergender tag match. It was probably my least favorite match of the night, honestly. Then we got Moose versus Eddie Edwards, ending in a no contest after Agent Zero attacked Moose. Then we got Marseille beating Elena Black in a no DQ match after throwing Black onto some tacks. Pretty great match. This is probably my favorite match of the night, honestly. Brian Myers and Cedric Alexander beat Jeff Hardy and Vincent after the Righteous turned heel on the Hardys. Mickey James, OBD, and Taryn Terrell have a brawl with the Elegance brand for some reason. I don't know why. And Mike Santana versus Steve Macklin ends in a no contest after Macklin got hurt, then Eddie Edwards attacked Mike Santana. Yay! Pretty good show, honestly. Now on to wrestling news. We got John Cena announcing that he will be the host of WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. He should be a great host. This will probably be the best host we've had since Miz, which is very exciting. Triple H announces that Psycho Sid Vicious will be a part of the WWE Hall of Fame class. Honestly, this was too late, bro. I feel like it should have been 3 years ago before he passed, but I'm glad we're doing it at least now. It should have been earlier, though, for sure. Gunther is expected to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania if Braun Breaker isn't cleared. I expect Braun to be cleared, though, so not likely. I do, because Braun Breaker did make his return to the Performance Center last week. I do wonder what Gunther will be doing if he does not face Seth Rollins. I could see an interaction with John Cena as the host, for sure. Bad News Brown was announced to be a legacy addition to the WWE Hall of Fame class. I honestly don't know who this is, so I can't really put any good input on this, but good for him, I guess. Thekla signed a new contract with AEW not even a year after first signing with them, so it seems like they're a huge fan of her, and I don't blame them because I am as well. Buff Bagwell wants to have another match, even though he had a leg amputated last year. That is not happening. Ronda Rousey's appearance at AEW Revolution is expected to have just been a one-off, which is kind of sad because I feel like it should have been at least like 3 appearances just so that they could build a story or something off of it. But just being a one-off, it doesn't make sense why she appeared then because she didn't really do anything. It is rumored that WWE wants to hold a Saturday Night's Main event on July 18th in Madison Square Garden. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Wouldn't be the worst thing ever. IShowSpeed is expected to make a WrestleMania appearance after being at Raw. I just don't know what he would do, is the thing. Another segment with Danhausen? I mean, I guess. Or he could be part of like a Logan Paul match, but we've already seen that before. Penta accepted Vikingo's challenge for the IC title match on April 11th episode of AAA. Should be a good match. I'm guessing Penta still retains, though. WWE broadcaster Megan Moran has qualified for the Olympic marathon trials for 2028. Good for her. I'm honestly very surprised by that. The Bays of Wrath have parted ways after not being able to reclaim the tag team titles on Dynamite. Yeah. Chris Jericho has filed for the trademark Cornerstone, and he's expected to use it when he returns. It's gotta be for WWE, right? It has to be. Moose's former teammates on the Atlanta Falcons helped him beat Bear Bronson on TNA. Good, I guess. Now on to NFL news. We got the NFL owners approving the Super Bowl returning to Allegiant Stadium in 2029. I think that's honestly the best decision they could make. Then the 5th-year options for receiver Jordan Addison and Jaguars offensive lineman Anton Harrison were accepted. I think these were the right choices. I just can't believe that Jordan Addison's 5th-year option is like $18 million. That just seems way too high. Linebacker Lavonte David is retiring from the NFL after 14 seasons with the Buccaneers. Oh my gosh. What a Bucs legend. I think he honestly deserves a Hall of Fame spot. I don't think he's first ballot. I think he could make it in a 3rd year that he's available, for sure. But I don't think he's a first-year ballot. The NFL is prepping to hire 180 college refs if they can't come into an agreement with their current refs. and if in this case they would get a system that would help. They would basically have reviews from New York City, which would help the interim refs if they need help with any tough calls that are critical. I like that. I like that proposal, honestly. The Minnesota Vikings have submitted a bid to host the 2028 draft in U.S. Bank Stadium. I think that would be hype, keeping it in the NFC North for what we had. I think Chicago's the only one that hasn't held it. So do Chicago in 2029, I guess? That would be sick. Former Las Vegas Raiders offensive lineman Barrett Robbins died at the age of 52 on Friday. We'll give him a moment of silence. Former Minnesota Vikings inside linebacker Jeff Simeon died at the age of 75 on Saturday, so we'll give him a moment of silence as well. The Buffalo Bills are signing offensive lineman Lloyd Cushenberry and Austin Corbett. Good for them. Running back Brian Robinson is signing a 1-year contract with the Falcons worth $2.5 million. A lot of fantasy mistakes are going to happen because of this one. Now you got 2 B. Robinson running backs on the same team. Someone is definitely selecting the wrong B. Robinson in fantasy first overall. That's going to suck. Former Minnesota Vikings defensive back Joey Browner died at the age of 65 on Monday. I'll give him a moment of silence as well. NBA Hall of Famer George Gervin is in a dispute with Caleb Williams over the nickname Iceman. I think Caleb Williams definitely deserves it more. I know George Gervin had it for a while, but it's literally a new generation. We shouldn't care about what the old generation thinks about this. It's a new generation. It's fine for a new generation to use old nicknames, I feel like. Joe Flacco is signing a 1-year contract extension with the Bengals after getting traded there mid-season. Good for both sides, I would say. Texas running back Woody Marks is changing his number from 27 to 4 next season. I don't really like that. Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders is changing his number from 12 to 2 for next season. I'm not a big fan of that either. Quarterback Zach Wilson is signing a 1-year contract with the Saints. The Dallas Cowboys have signed defensive lineman Jonathan Bullard to a 1-year contract. And the Buffalo Bills have re-signed safety Damar Hamlin to a 1-year contract. Now on to college football news. We got Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss won the lawsuit for his eligibility and will be able to play this season. Oklahoma linebacker Owen Heineke is suing the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility. Gus Malzahn and Jeff Todford will be joining the college football playoff selection committee. I think that will make it definitely more fair since they know what they're doing. South Carolina has recruited rugby player Neff Giwa to play offensive line for them. I'm honestly interested to see where that will go. Scott Barnes announced he is retiring from being the Oregon State athletic director. And Illinois makes offensive coordinator Barry Looney their highest paid assistant coach. And now, on to NBA news. Okay, on to NBA news. After serving a 25-game suspension for violating the NBA's anti-drug program, Paul George made his return against the Bulls on Wednesday. And then we got... Where is it? I don't know how Blake does it this quick, honestly. Where's the Mac McClung? Darius Acuff Jr. has signed a signature shoe deal with Reebok. The Mavericks missed the playoffs. There's growing momentum that Bulls head coach Billy Donovan could step away from the team after the season. The Bucks want to shut down Giannis for the season. The NBA Players Association is calling for the abolition of the 65-game rule for awards. There's growing speculation that the NBA could void Kawhi's contract if an investigation into the Clippers' recruitment finds illegal activity. Moses Moody suffered a torn patellar tendon in his left knee. Oh my gosh, the season can literally not get worse for the Warriors, bro. Let's see. Mac McClung makes G League history. He's now the all-time leading scorer in NBA G League history with a 59-point game. Good for him. The NBA Board of Governors approved a vote for the league to explore bids and applicants for expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle. That is very interesting. So in that case, teams would be able to protect 8 players, and each expansion team would get to pick 1 player per team. So I think that means each team would get 1 player taken from them. So that'd be 15 and 15, yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find something worthy of talking about. The NBA 65-game rule is not changing this summer. Okay, the NBA Players Association is proposing a 3-prong approach to the NBA tanking. So it's basically flattening odds, which doesn't really make sense if you're trying to get rid of tanking. And then 2-year program, and they also have a penalty program, I guess. Let's see. The Cavaliers are expected to sign James Harden to a 2-year contract in the summer. Steph Curry will be re-examined next week. Let's see. We're almost done. The Bucks have been eliminated from the playoffs. Let's see. We're almost to the end. LeBron to the Warriors is a possibility this offseason. The Mavericks aim to hire a full-time successor for Nico Harrison before the draft. Jaden McDaniels has a left knee patella tendinopathy and a bone bruise and will be listed as week to week. The NBA board has approved the sale of the Portland Trail Blazers to an investor group led by Tom Dundon. And the Chicago Bulls have waived Jaden Ivey for anti-LGBTQ comments. Now let's see where we are on... Okay, so NBA division leaders so far. Celtics are 50 and 24. The Pistons in the Central are 54 and 20. Southeast Hawks are 42 and 33. The Thunder are 59 and 16. Lakers 48 and 26, and the Spurs are 56 and 18. The playoff matchups as of now: the Pistons, Thunder, Celtics, and Spurs are the first and second seeds. Knicks, Hawks, Lakers, and Rockets are third versus sixth matchups. Cavaliers versus Raptors and Nuggets versus Timberwolves are the fourth versus fifth matchups. The 76ers versus Magic and Suns versus Clippers are the matchups to determine 7th seeds. And the Heat versus the Hornets and Trailblazers versus Warriors are the matchups to determine 8 seeds. Blake's prediction is Suns versus Hornets for the finals, and mine is going to be Celtics Thunder, I guess. That works. So let's see. Where are we on? Okay, we're in Sweet 16. Okay. Sweet 16 for March Madness. Purdue beats Texas 79-77 on a game winner. I think this was the game winner. But Braden Smith put it up. Trey Kaufman ran, then pushed it in for the winner. ninth seed Iowa beats 4th seed Nebraska 77-71 to pull off the upset. 3rd seed Illinois beat 2nd seed Houston 65-55. Pretty low scoring game there, honestly. Arizona beat Arkansas at 109-88. Then we had 1st seed Duke beating 5th seed St. John's 80-75. Michigan dominates 4th seed Alabama 90-77. 2nd seed UConn beat 3rd seed Michigan State 67-63. Then we had Tennessee beating Iowa State in a shocker 76-62. I was kind of surprised of how big the win margin there was. Then on to the Elite Eight. We got Illinois beating Iowa 71-59. Illinois is such a good defensive team. Oh my gosh. Arizona then beat Purdue 79-64. Michigan beat Tennessee 95-62 in a blowout to advance to the Final Four. Then UConn on a buzzer beater by Braylon Mullins wins against Duke 73-72 to go to the Final Four. Braylon Mullins is a dog. Okay, so we got the Final Four. Illinois versus UConn. Honestly, I can't put anything against UConn right now. That game winner honestly bought me over. I'm going to pick UConn to win. It's a low-scoring game, though. I'm going to pick them to win 64-60 because Illinois has a great defense. I'm not having them score too many points. Then we have Michigan versus Arizona, my two probably favorite teams of the tournament. I'm going to probably have Michigan beat Arizona here. I'm going to have Michigan win 72-68. Yeah, it works. Then in the finals, we got UConn versus Michigan. Honestly, give me UConn winning their 3rd championship in 4 years, winning 68-64. And that's my predictions, and that is the episode. So next week we'll have Raw, NXT SmackDown, wrestling news, NFL news, Final Four results, our championship predictions. I think we'll have our stand and deliver predictions. I think that's when it is. Let me check. Stand and deliver 2026 is April 4th. Ooh. Hold up. Oh, that's this weekend. Hold up. Okay. I'm going to do my stand and deliver predictions right now then. Okay. Since Blake isn't here, we're not going to be defending the title on it. We got the Vanity Project versus the Birthright or Los Americanos. It's going to be the Birthright. So I think Birthright dethrones Vanity Project at stand and deliver for the titles. Miles Bourne versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American title. I think Miles Bourne retains his title against Johnny Gargano. Actually, yeah, I think so. JC Jane versus Kendall Gray or Lola Vice. I'm going to have Lola Vice go in here. So I think Lola Vice beats JC Jane for the title. Then we got Sol Rico versus Zarya. I think Zarya wins the title. Zarya wins this match. Sends Sol to the main roster because Sol doesn't really have anything to win here. And then we got Joe Hendry versus Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page versus Tony D'Angelo. I'm going to have Tony D'Angelo win the title here. And I think that's it. Unless I'm missing anything. Check. Ooh, our WrestleMania predictions. Shoot. I didn't need to do that. I'm just going to cut that. Wait, no. That's fine. It's literally this. Okay, it's this weekend. Never mind. Yeah, that'll stay in. I thought it was April 11th for some reason, but they for some reason have 2 weeks in between Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania, which is kind of dumb. But that's gonna be it for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.